All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Real Reading Talk. I am your most gracious host, Miss Sasha, y'all. And with Real Reading Talk, I discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation, as to why there are low levels of literacy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. Listen, y'all, I've been meaning to do an episode where I wanted to discuss some important things that we can do in our community to help empower our children. And, it's so interesting when certain things are on your heart, on your spirit. Have you ever noticed that that's when you start having conversations with other people about it? I want you to pay attention to that. Tap into, do not ignore your intuition. Do not ignore when you see recurring things happening in your life. Meaning, if you find yourself, again, like I said, something's been heavy on your heart, on your mind, on your spirit, then you notice you may have a conversation with somebody and then y'all start talking about that thing. Then you notice a video may pop up that's, talking about that particular thing. Then you wind up having a conversation with somebody else about that same thing. That's when you know, okay, you know what, I need to pay attention to that. I need to, do something about that, discuss it, whatever it is that you got to do, write about it. Okay, because everybody's not going to have a podcast, everybody's not going to talk about different things. But if you can, at least, even if you got to get it out through writing, please do that. All right, you never know, that might become your first book. So what I wanted to do this episode, I wanted to address, rather, first the issue of our children not feeling supported, the issue of our children not feeling like they have that backing from their parents, from us as parents or caregivers. I was having a conversation, two different conversations, two different folks. One I think was the day of my podcast when I was talking to Miss Ashley B, or it may have been the day before. But we were talking about how kids who wind up becoming bullies, and usually those kids who become bullies, if you don't know, the core root cause of bullying is insecurity, is a lack. They missed something growing up. They didn't get that attention, that love, that support from their family. They got ignored. They got abused. Those are usually the signs of a bully or someone who's very oppressive, someone who always feels like they have to control. Okay. Or they grew up with controlling parents. They grew up with parents who were always felt like they had to be, they had to be involved with everything. They couldn't let their child think for themselves. Their child walked around a lot of times on eggshells. Okay. And unfortunately, those kids usually wind up becoming bullies. All right. And definitely research has shown bullying is linked to kids who have been bullied first by their parents. And I appreciate Ashley B. She mentioned that in our conversation. She talked about how that first bully that child usually meets, usually, is that parent, whether it's a parent biological or it's a step parent or it's a caregiver. And so, one thing's for certain that we have to do as parents and caregivers, number one, we have to make sure that we are handling our business in a very ethical, in a very loving way, knowing the fact that we have that position of leadership, that position of authority over our children. We can't abuse it. There's a saying that we say in the Muslim community, how God, of course, as you know, you hear me say Allah means one God, that Allah has uh, made oppression haram, meaning unlawful. Like, and he made it haram for himself. Okay, when I say him, I'm not meaning, as you all know, I'm not talking about a man, right? All right. So, in understanding that oppression, being oppressive, being a tyrant, being somebody who's over somebody, controlling, that is not something that God loves at all. In fact, Allah, God hates oppression. Okay. And anytime somebody is being oppressive, you are supposed to stop that person from being an oppressor. Okay. As much as you can. I mean, you think about it with us in the Black community. Who is our oppressor? Why is it that we are in the situation that we're in terms of when it comes to things that are positive? You see Black folks always at the bottom when it comes to our literacy numbers. Once again, we see high levels of illiteracy in our communities across the nation. All right, we see the economic disparities. All right, if a white person right now stops, if white folks right now stopped accumulating wealth, okay, it would take us about, I think the study had said about 220 something years to catch up to the wealth that they have. That is insane. That's an atrocity. That's disgusting. How did it become like that? Is it because, white people were made in a way where they're better than us, they're smarter than us, they know how to talk to people better, they know how to do business better than us? No, not at all. It was through oppression. It was through saying, we are better than you. You're not supposed to have this. We are. So now we're going to take it. And now we're going to do everything we can to make sure that you do not thrive and you do not do anything to be able to handle your business as a human being. In fact, we went and we disrupted what you all were doing. We dismembered, we disrupted, we created chaos. And again, that's through oppression, right? So oppression is, as we know, is a horrible thing. But one of the things that we have to understand, though, is that we know these issues, right? In the Black community, we know they exist. We know we did not start the problem. However, we have the responsibility to fix it as much as we can day by day, starting with ourselves, starting with our families, whether you have children or you do not have children. You have the responsibility to be able to change your condition, period. And so, one of the things that, again, going back to how I started in terms of the conversations that I was having with a couple of wise people, shout out to my dear sister Brenda, and again Ashley B, and talking about the bullying aspect and talking about our children not feeling like they have our support, especially when they go into these schools. And so it just led me to just talk about something that we can start doing as parents, as caregivers. Those of us who are in charge are charged with the care of building up our children and making sure that our children are in a position to where they can be empowered. All right. So what I did was I took my paper and I said, okay, I have a section. And I put a line. I said, okay, this is the empowerment side. Empowerment means to what? You giving somebody something, you giving them the tools so that they can do it on their own. That's empowerment. Then you have the enabling, or I'm not going to the make sure that you have your tools set in place so that you can handle your business. So I have the what is called that hands-off approach. Okay. So this is what this looks like. All right. So if you want to empower your child or the children that you are able to help, teacher, mentor, whatever, the first thing you have to make sure that you're doing when there's a problem and there's something they need to solve, it's something that you want them to do. You have to say, I'm going to show you how to do it. I know you like, well, yeah, just that simple. I'm going to show you how to do it. That's called empowerment, right? But the hands off approach, or the approach, because really what it wound up turning into is an enabling approach, is I don't show you how to do it. I expect you to know already. Example, Sister Brenda gave an example, and she was talking about how, she had, it was a parent who had made a comment, or not a comment, rather, they were basically being reactive with their response to their child, in terms of, if when the child said, okay, this person was bullying me, this person was doing something to me. So the parent is like, well, just hit them back. I mean, just, just a knee jerk reaction, just hit them back. And so she said when she heard that, she was just like, and she said, because she's, just reflecting or whatever, and she thought back to how when she was raised, and she's, definitely my elder, and everything, wise. And so, and she was just saying how it just made her reflect and think like, our parents, they did the best that they could in survival mode. But in thinking about the approach, a lot of times the approach that they would give would just be very reactionary, and it was not something that was helpful or empowering or showing our children how to do something. And so, and she said, and that's a lot of times where we fail our kids. We get so frustrated because of what the things that we're dealing with on a societal level, whether it's, we trying our best to pay the bills, whether it's a two-family home, you're married, or you might be divorced, or it might be been started off as a single family or whatever. And especially with a lot of, in the Black community, we have a lot of Black female headed households. And when you have a lot of the brunt of the responsibility, you stressed. And so it's almost like you don't have time to show your child how to handle business or how to take care of stuff. You expect them to know already. So then when you don't show them and you expect them to know, then you push them out in the world and you send them to the schools where they already got to deal with teachers a lot of times who don't care, who they just there for a check. Trust me, I know, especially being a sub, I've seen it. And it ain't just the white teachers, unfortunately, it's the Black ones too. They just like, whatever, what I'm saying? I need you to be quiet. Long as you quiet, what I'm saying? I'm gonna consider this a good class. Okay. And a lot of our kids, they go and they're experiencing, a lot of them are experiencing bullying, and they're experiencing, all of these different things in the classroom. And they're like, okay, all I was told was I'm just supposed to hit you, what I'm saying? Or I'm just supposed to, just have a reaction. No kind of thought process, no kind of, really trying to figure out and problem solve. So that's the first thing that I want you all to do. I want us to do together. And this, all of this is tied into literacy, y'all, because again, when you are reading with your children, when you're reading those books, because every book is going to have some type of problem, some issue, whatever, that needed to be solved. That's when you can have those discussions, getting your child to critical think, getting your child to understand, okay, well, here's the issue in this particular book that Muhammad was dealing with. How did he handle that situation? Okay. If he handles it like this, do you think that's going to be a good outcome, or do you think that's going to be something that is going to bring him more trouble? Now you are engaging, having a conversation. Now you got their wheels turning. Now it becomes empowerment. It's no longer, well, you should already know how to do this. All right. So that's the first thing. Number two, empower your child by asking your child, and this ties into, like I said, with the conversation during a book reading. What do you think about this? What's your opinion? I want to know what your thought process is, right? So now what you are doing, you're giving your child a voice, as opposed to the other side where you I don't want to ask them, what their opinion is. In fact, I'm going to just act like you don't have an opinion. I'm just going to act like I'm the one who has the answers all the time. You don't know any better. You're a child. You're too little to even understand. And this is interesting because when me and Miss Ashley B was talking, and one of the things we definitely agree with is like, I love being around young people, okay? Because our young people, we have underestimated them for a long time. We have doubted them for a long time. And that's why a lot of times our kids, they wind up feeling like they can't come to us because they feel like, well, you're not going to listen to me anyway. You think what I say don't even matter. It's not even important. So what I'm going to say something to you for? The only thing I feel like I'm good for is that, you telling me, go clean this up, go pick this up, go do this. Always directives, always commands. You don't ever want to know what I think about a situation or what do I think about this or how to solve this problem. You don't want my insight, my input. I'm on my own. And that's what a lot of our kids are dealing with. And this, again, like I said, if we want to see a generation of our kids better, making better decisions, getting on a trajectory where they can actually be self-sufficient, but it starts with the mind. Self-sufficiency don't start with somebody giving you money and then you able to go build, because if somebody give you a pile of money and you don't know how to build, you're going to spend that money, you're going to waste it. That's why a lot of folks who wind up playing a lottery and they hit it big, they'll tell you statistics show that they wind up being broke probably a year or so later because they didn't know what to do with the money. They didn't know how to invest. They didn't know how to build. And I'm sorry, you playing the lottery, you don't know how to invest because you a doggone show is wasting your money putting your coins in something that's not an investment. All right, that's like that's some risk taking that you shouldn't even be embarking upon. Okay, but again, this is something. Unfortunately, in the Black community, we see a lot of that, right? But all of that ties into what I'm talking about, the empowerment mindset. If you always thinking that, man, I gotta quickly, you know what I'm saying? I hit this number, man. You know what I'm saying? I play this lotto, man. This is a $759 million jackpot. All I gotta do is play these, you know what I'm saying? 100. I put in about $200 worth of numbers. My chances is what? What? 10 out of you know what I'm saying, 500 million. Yeah, you do the math on that. What's the probability of that, of you winning? So that's number two. All right, so far I said the empowerment thinking is I show you how to do something, not just I'm telling you, I'm actually showing you. And make sure you're showing with love, okay? And you're asking your child, what do you think, as opposed to the other, which is the opposite of I'm showing you how to do something, is I don't show you, I expect that you know already. And then the opposite of not asking your child their input, you're looking at them as just that, a child who has no opinion, they have no thought process. So now they don't even realize that you could be, that they can learn how to think critically, how to problem solve, because you just took all that power away from them. And then the last thing, encouraging your child to take calculated risks. That's empowerment, as opposed to enabling them or not really, you know what I'm saying, preparing them. You're telling them that all the things that could possibly go wrong with, whatever ideas or something that they may come up with. Okay. So, for example, say if your child, they come to you, with an idea, maybe a business idea. And they're young, right? And say hypothetically, they may be 7 or 8 and they come with you with a business idea. For those who are empowering, you're going to encourage them. Okay, you know what? Okay, I see where your thinking is. All right. So how about you do this? It might be something that's a little risky. Okay. So for example, say, they have $200 saved up from their birthday money. All right. And they have a business idea. And you tell them, okay, well, you know what? I want you to take, they're saying, okay, I want to take some of the money, their birthday money rather. They're saying to you they want to take the money. So instead of you getting all scared and nervous and saying, no, you know what I'm saying? Don't mess with that money. You know what I'm saying? That's your birthday money or whatever. Whoop de whoop. No. Say, okay, say, I like your thinking. All right. How about, you start off, maybe you don't want to start off giving all of your money into that business. Maybe you want to take half of it. So you got $200 saved up from your birthday money. How about you take $100 of it and then you put it into that idea that you were thinking about? And then we see how that goes. That's an example of having a calculated risk as opposed to the other side. Uh-uh. You only got $200. You know what I'm saying? I don't know when the next time, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be able to get some more money. You know what I'm saying? We got these bills. I may even need to borrow some of that money, to put towards the light bill or the gas bill. So already there's like, ooh, ooh, they start shrinking. Oh, okay. So what are you doing? Number one, you're teaching them again not to be able to take calculated risks. Number two, you're changing their mindset now from a lack and limited. Okay. You're changing, excuse me, from an abundant mindset to a lack and limited mindset. Now they are thinking from always a deficit. Now they're always thinking with the mindset of, oh man, you know what, I may not be able to make no more money, so I better not touch that money. Okay. You're not even thinking about how, the money is sitting there. You're not doing nothing with it. How is that money going to grow? Which could be a whole lesson in itself of financial literacy. I mean, that whole lesson right there of what they want to do, the idea of them trying to take that money that they have to make more money, that could be a whole lesson if we just came with an empowerment mindset. If we just came with a mindset of, you know what? Yeah, I love what you're doing. I see you. It's all right. Even though in the back of your mind, you may be kind of, you might be a little scared. You might be thinking like, I don't know if that's gonna work. But just the fact that they see that you believe in what they're doing, and then the fact that they're like, you know what, I'm ready to take this leap. I'm ready to take this to step out on faith with this. I know I got, the $200, but I'm gonna take this 100. You know what I'm saying? Or they may say, I'm gonna take 150. They may only gonna have 50 left. But again, they're looking at it like, I have this idea. I want to see it thrive. I want to see it just blow up. And they just looking at you like, can you just believe in me? Can you please have my back? Can you please support me? And so those three right there, I think that is a starter. I just wanted to share with you guys. Of course, I could definitely go on and give, what I'm saying, more examples, but I feel like that right there is enough for everybody to be able to digest, to sit on, and to just simply reflect. Because trust and believe, as I'm telling you all, like I try my best to say frequently, as I'm telling you all, I'm telling myself, okay? Because it's almost like I'm preaching to myself for real, for real. Like, okay, you know what? Making sure that I do that with my own kids, making sure that I check myself, and am I making sure that I'm talking to them in a way where I'm helping them have a more abundant mindset? Or am I going back to that scaredy cat mindset that I've had since I was a kid and being afraid to take those risks? Okay. So I hope you all gain benefit from that. And again, I hope that you all enjoy these episodes, and I hope that you all are, able to learn and able to share with others as well, because this is what we are, a community. I want to see us thrive, and I know that one of the key components of us thriving is changing our mindset and definitely making sure that we are taking in all the knowledge that we can. And a big part of how we get our knowledge is through reading. Okay, so thank you all again for listening. My name is Miss Sasha, and make sure that you are please reading for at least 30 minutes a day. This has been another episode of Real Reading Talk, and you all take care. Peace.